Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, I was tagged by Paddy's potato peelers on this particular topic, and it's shows some of your sub collections of your big collection. You know, like we generally collect knives, and we'll have subcategories or things that we collect. Now, a word about that before we get into, as you see, Pucos. I've got Pucos here. It's what causes you to collect. Because for me, you know, what causes you to have a subcategory? Because for myself, when I started getting into traditional knives, I wanted to try one of every pattern. I may not like that particular knife, you know, but I wanted to have one example of that, of every one of those in my collection. I think I've only got one other one of these lady legs, and it's in the glow pattern. And the reason I was doing that is because we form biases. You know, we look at these and we say, that's impractical. There's no way I'd carry that. It's sexist or whatever, you know, your outrage is against a lady leg. And then you get one, you say, no way that thing could be any good. And you find out, wow, that's pretty ergonomic there. You know, it looks like it wouldn't be, but it is. That's fairly ergonomic. And you've got to, this is really on the tiny end of it, you know. This is a very tiny lady leg. It's got a little thing for a keychain in there. And lady legs is not one of the ones I'm collecting. I'm just saying, if you happen to like, as I was going through, if you happen to find a particular pattern that you like, it can be the same thing with like fixed blades. In this example, what started me off was Mora knives, and this is not one of them that was given to me, but it's one of the ones I got, and it's about like the same thing. It's just like a classic Mora, and I love it. They're inexpensive. They got that Scandi grind on them, and they cut like no tomorrow on wood and stuff like that. Now, they're not, you know, as great on, I guarantee I can peel an apple with one of these. Like some people say, well, they're not great for food prep. I guarantee I could peel an apple with a Scandi grind, you know? I mean, the problem is, well, there really isn't any problem with them. And you get one and you think, all right, I'm good to go. You know, I've got a knife. I'm good to go. And I won't need any more. And then you find out they're inexpensive. And like these, if you got another one that's got a little tab like that, not all of them have that. They set it up differently, and like this one doesn't have it there. You can put another knife, click it right together right on top of it. I can't zoom in because it's on wide angle for collections. And then Toby sent me a bunch of Pucos recently. And one of the things I want to mention about leather sheaths on these, I've been wearing this guy on my hip, the Cold Steel Fin Hawk. And I did that one fairly quietly. But if you've got this on your hip and this comes out, let's see if I can capture the sound. That's pretty loud. This is not a stealth carry type of thing. You can hear it too if it bumps up against something. So yeah, if you're out hunting, yeah, or you're out surviving or whatever, and you need to eat, you know, there's a rabbit that walks up on your camp, and normally you like rabbits and stuff like that. Silly rabbit tricks are for kids. But you're hungry, and he comes up close enough that you could use your knife to kill the rabbit. Well, if you have one of these plastic sheath ones, unless you practiced it a lot or whatever, they're that sound carries in the woods. That's not a natural sound. That's not something any animal, they don't think, like we would. We try to analyze that. I wonder what that sound is and in what direction it came from. Nah, they're like, phew, I'm gone. The way your hand pulls away from a hot fire, you know, you don't think about it. When I hear something like that, phew, they're gone. So that's one of the advantages I say towards leather, leather sheaths, is that they're quiet. You could also strop your knife on a leather sheath right here. You could have like on the back side, you could put some compound on it if you wanted to. Yeah, I like natural materials most of the time. The advantage, like I said, to these is this is real easy to get on and off your belt. With this type, you pretty much have to thread your belt through there, and it can't be any wider than the loop that's provided. So this is a bigger loop right here, so you could have a bigger belt. But this other one, it's going to be more of a dress pants, type of stuff. So yeah, I like this design, and the Scandi flat grind is good, but like with this Fin Bear, I think this was the Fin Bear, yeah. It has what we have, like you would normally expect on a knife, You have a primary grind, and then you come down, you've got a secondary bevel, and that's where your edges meet up. But with a Scandi grind, it just goes zounk. There is no secondary, not even a micro. I mean, that whole edge is the end of the blade, and this whole edge is the end on this side. Anyways, I like this design. I like these. These are very useful. They're not too large, The 4-inch blade is pretty useful for most tasks, and they fit the hand well. Yeah, so there's just a lot going for Pucos, and that's something that I got recently. I wonder which way your Puco goes in. If it matters on this, does it have to go horn up, or I'd say horn up, pokey side up? Yeah, so the pommel faces back that way. Right, so that's one. God, I gotta go faster on the next. All right, so we got Pucos and the recent additions. Thank you, Toby and family. Oh, and I was gonna still build this guy, but it's gonna be like my king of the Pucos. Because really, once you put the handle on this guy, as far as like size and intimidation factor, he beats out all these other ones. But yeah, Scandi grind. All right, you got to get back in your sheath before you start damaging somebody. All right, let me pause this and bring out the next collection. All right, so as you know, I'm recently started collecting more Barlows, and usually I like the bigger Barlows. Granddaddy and Big Daddy Barlow. But I've started getting these regular size or smaller size. And the advantages to Barlows, if you think about them, like some people say, well, I wouldn't collect novelty knives, The steel is uncertain, and, the materials are... Get beyond all that. That's not the purpose for collecting it. The purpose for collecting Barlows for me is nostalgia. It reminds of watching westerns when you were a kid. This reminds me of kind of like these puzzle games you get whenever you go on car rides or something, like vacations. They want to shut you up in the back seat. Here, give them a puzzle game. That's usually not. We would try other games, like name the... but there for the longest time, Volkswagen Beetles were common, And so whoever could spot one of those on the road first, got a point or whatever. And you got extra points if it was red or something like that, you'd name that. That'd be our kind of game, because this gets old pretty quick, And you're jammed in with your siblings. I had 2 sisters, so... the dreaded spot in the back seat of a car, if there's 3 kids, is the middle section, because that's not usually designed. See, it's just like this hump a lot of times. The padding's not as good. If there was a seatbelt, it didn't work as well, or restrictive. Both your elbows are hitting both your siblings, and you're supposed to behave. Anyways, we're getting back to Barlow's. Back to Barlow's. So that's what that reminds me of, is stuff like that. That's the purpose for collecting these knives. Not to go out and chop down trees in a forest. I mean, you could. I mean, you could still use these. These are useful knives. And the reason why they were so popular is they were inexpensive. That's why, if you think about it, a lot of times, if it depends on your region of the country and stuff like that. But usually the least expensive knife that people, if they were trying to collect it for investment properties or purposes or whatever, would think, "Ah, man, that's hokey, that's they're missing out on the whole purpose, and that's kind of leads back to what I was saying, the whole purpose of collecting. Some people, you find a pattern that you like and you want to get more, and you think, well, why would you need more than one knife of that pattern? Well, why do you need more than one dog or one cat or one style of pants? I mean, if you like knives like me, it doesn't take much for me to start branching off into collections. Like, oh man, I gotta get more of these, I gotta get more of those. And that's one series recently that I started expanding upon, because I got a lot more of these. I'm just showing some examples of things, that are Barlow's, that are basically, from also adds to that, blades from around the world. I want to do a separate video on that. He tagged me on kind of like that too, but like this one's from Ireland. You can't really see it, because I wonder if it'll focus if you get close. Oh wow, I didn't know you could do that on wide angle. That's how you zoom in on wide angle. You get closer. Ireland, see, laddie, you learned something, see? That's probably a pretty bad Irish accent there. Not even close. But anyway, so there you go. There's Barlow's. We've done Pucos and Barlow's. What's next? Now I've got more, but I'm just narrowing it down to this. These are copperheads. I've always liked copperheads, but I've increased my collecting of copperheads, and this is how I store them. It's not super great or anything, but there's the different copperheads. Not the snake, the knife. All right, we got to put it that we're gonna have copperhead over here. The way we're gonna orientate everything. See, now the cutoff part right there, you use a layer. I'm not sure all of these are copperheads, but we'll find out. And you see how it can continue. Now these are sow bellies. I guess we're breaking into copperheads and sow bellies. See, it's a 2-for-1. I know I've got more copperheads hiding around here somewhere. But anyways, yeah, sow bellies. Sow-belly Stockmans are another pattern that I just started collecting. Not just started, but I mean when I started collecting more than one. What is this? Nope, he's a Stockman. Shields up. Shields up, Mr. Worf. Aye, aye, Captain. This one's called a gentleman's Stockman. See, now you would think, all right, if you got one, you've got them all. A lot of the times, these are different. These are just slightly different than each other. All right, there's gunk. There's gunk in there. You're not supposed to see that. Right, yeah, so sow-belly Stockmans, why did I collect more than one of them? Well, you have the versatility of a Stockman pattern. You got like a main regular blade that you can use. But the main thing is, it fits in the hand so well. And it doesn't throw the blades down too super crazy, It doesn't get carried away with it like a karambit or something, you know. But you know, you've got the regular things, like there's a sheep's foot hiding in here somewhere. I can't see. There we go. There's sheep's foot. Right, so that's Stockman's, and of course we know the copperheads I've done recently, but you've got 2 long blades, so you don't mess around with all these other little. I don't need a pin blade. I'm not spaying anything, you know. When I deploy my blades, I want them long and ready. That's starting to get like, we're trying to keep this civilized here. Don't even get this R-rated. The stuff kids see nowadays. Don't use that excuse. Alright, anyway, so copperheads. See, this is cool, man. I like, and this is going to patina after a while. And if you don't want it to patina, you can always just polish it or buff it back, you know. And a word about patina also. If you like it, and you want like it to happen fast or whatever, store your knives in a slip. It's starting to do that with that new case of mine too. I leave it in a slip because it protects it, but the tanning acid and stuff, especially like those Rough Rider ones that I added mineral oil to, they will they'll seep tanning oils onto the bolsters, and even nickel silver will start to like discolor and everything. So to me it kind of gives it a worn, used look, but all I gotta do is use some case paste or flitz or something like that, you know, and clean it off. Or if you've got a buffing wheel, buff it off. Hey, buff off. Alright, so there you go. There's collection number 2, and we're at 17 minutes. Well, this doesn't have to be really high detail, although you can look closely. We figured out how to zoom on this now. Zoomage. Alright, so yeah. And this one is kind of like one of my best user ones, because it's the Marbles D2 one. So you've got D2 steel and a micarta handle. Let's get up closer. Why don't you zoom in? Wonder if it can focus when you do this. Hey, focus over here. Hey, look at this. No, it doesn't really want to do that too much. Get closer. No, get away. Ah, you're going to break things. So yeah, you got a nice nail neck. Nice sheep's foot. So you can cut all the sheep's feet off. And then spay them. First you cut their feet off, then you spay them. I don't know why. I don't know why they got the thing against sheep. But it has that sow belly. See that curve? Ooh. That just fits in a hand. That's the advantage. If you're just carrying like one traditional knife with you, if you had like a Stockman or a sow belly Stockman, it doesn't take up too much room. It kind of like nestles at the bottom of the pocket, even if you don't have a slip. And you've got 3 blades to do things with. Just depends on how much cutting you're doing, you know. I think a lot of this was set for back when people were outdoors a lot more. Now, speaking for myself, I'm in an apartment, you know what I mean? But I have lived out on a small farm, and I have been out in the woods and stuff before, and possibly will again in the future. But I'm just saying, pretty versatile pattern. With this, your advantage with a copperhead is it's easy in and out of the pocket. You've got a pretty much, you know, most people are only going to need 1 blade, but if you're worried about it getting too dull, or you want to use this for cutting wire and gouging rocks off the bottom of a cow's foot or something, you know, you don't want to eat with that later on, so you might want to use this guy to cut your steak, you know, or pick your nose or clean the earwax out of your ear. You want to use your better blade for that. Alright, for anybody that's watching that actually thought you might want to try to do that, don't hold me responsible if you get ear damage after this. You're going to have to understand sometimes there's sarcasm involved in videos. Alright, there. So I think I've run my mouth long enough. Oh, I have one more. I'm going to try to be quick. I'm just going to flash it and try to not run my mouth too much. Yes, doctor's knives. And this is not all of them. There's the pipe doctor sitting over there by the table. But with a doctor's knife, a lot of time, basically, you just have a a long, slender, blade. Usually a spear point, but it can be a sheep's foot, with some of these. And then the secondary blade, sometimes it's a pin blade like this, which I don't prefer as much as the one that has an actual spatula. And then you've got a nice flat area here for smashing pills, because it was more of a physician's knife or, a pharmacist, where they use a spatula to count the pills and move them, or not really, so much as a tongue depressor, but spreading powders, once you smashed it up. Let's get a real spatula out of here. Now, I've heard, I don't have any, but I've heard that the disadvantage of some of the Frost cutlery ones is they don't give you a nail nick. And if you don't have a nail nick, you usually have to pull this blade out, to get to it. But this is another malachite series that they did, but they added, like, I think this is fake mother of pearl, but it may be real. I think it's fake, imitation. Another thing I found with the doctor's knife that you may or may not know is if ants are getting on your table, this is really good for smashing them. I don't have any cockroach problems, but this may be good with cockroaches. You just have to be a little bit faster. They're bigger. Probably not good with flies, because flies are pretty quick. And but you've got a nice flat surface. So it's not just for smashing pills. You can smash small insects and stuff if they're getting into your drinks and stuff. But yeah, here's a collection of various doctor's knives. One of the first things that I started collecting was doctor's knives, just because I liked them. They were slender. Some are just like single blade, like this one's a backwoods bushcrafter version. And they're not real heavy use. Some of these had loose bolsters, so I had to tighten them up a little bit. And I hadn't even been heavy using them and stuff like that. But I just like the design. It's pretty cool, and they come in a bunch of different patterns. Well, I mean, series, like this is the High Plains, I believe. But you got your little tongue depressor. You could use it as a tongue depressor or a small, jelly spreading thing or butter spreading thing. It works for that also. And I think this one has it just has a regular, like, clip blade. So they're not all exactly the same when you get them. You can get some variety. I kind of slacked off on it because I need to get another one of these containers to hold them. But yeah, there's another sub-collection within my collection. This is doctor's knives. The doctor is in. Alright, so there you go. There's my collection series there, and I hope you enjoyed that. There are other ones I have too, like canoes and sunfish and stuff like that. But you've seen how much I run my mouth. It's already taken 25 minutes, so we only have a limited amount of time available for this stuff. But yeah, I just like collecting different patterns and different series in there because, yeah, you've got the same thing, but you've got a bunch of different variety within that. Let's see if it'll work on this. So you got these little nails, little brass pins that they put in there. Makes it look like a tobacco leaf and everything. Unfortunately, we have our R, but here's one from the Outdoorsman series, smooth tobacco bone with a little acorn shield. See? Missing. Alright. Which looks more, I don't know. We've gone through this. I've done the whole down with the big R thing. I don't want to get too obsessed with it. But that's what happens with collections. You'll get one, you think, I don't need another one of those. I already got one of those. And bam, as soon as you see one, ooh, that looks so good. That's what happened with these. I saw these, this Copper Swirl series, and I thought, all right, it's offered in a bunch of different patterns. Well, what are you going to get? Well, usually the thing that you usually like the most, that you use the most, or carry the most, or whatever, appeals to you most. And for me, It's like canoes and stockmans. See, I'm trying to narrow it down. Now it's gotten like copperheads and sunfish and doctor's knives. And you see how just like if it falls within one of any of those categories and you see it, you're gonna like, ooh, I need it. And for me, I think it falls down to my theory of collecting. You're gonna get a summation at the very end. This is what my thought is about collection. For what drives it on me, it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, right? So if you know that this exists out there and you don't have it in your collection and you see it, it's like a piece of the puzzle is missing. You go, yeah, these are good. This is kind of close and everything. But I really need that other piece. I need the acorn. I gotta have an acorn. And then boom, acorn appears. Well, if you got the money, doesn't take a lot of thinking. And bam, you've got it. Now, the good thing with Rough Riders is, I was figuring about this on price. They're average. They're usually average around $15. You can get them for less. You can get them for more. But if you're just talking about the basic Rough Rider series, the highest price one they've got right now is the Cinnamon Bone Damascus. Those average about like 20-something. But most of the time, you're talking about a $15 knife. So you think, all right, yeah, that's not much, $15. We start adding it up. 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15, plus 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus... Yeah, you can drop some money on your collections. And it doesn't have to be, like expensive stuff. Like I said, it can only be like $15. Now imagine if you were the same way, but you limited yourself and said, I only want case knives, or I only want GEC. Well, you can magnify that multiplication thing by 10, at least, because now you're talking with case, you're talking at least $60. $60 a knife. And with GEC, you're talking at least $100. $100 in a knife. So, anyway, there you go. I've rambled on long enough. There's some of mine. Now, if I want to tag anybody officially, last time he weaseled out of it, because I just said, well, you can consider yourself tagged in a comment. But Jersey Knife Guy, well, I know he's already got, I already know some of his sub collections, but you don't have to show all of them like I've done or everything. You can just, show some subsections. And I'll link Paddy's original video, where it was, he was describing what the tag was, which was basically show some of your collections. Which is pretty good, because it gives you a chance to show more than one particular knife, or just get into the specifications of, all right, it weighs this many grams, and it's about this long, and ow, it cut me. Yeah, so there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.